Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special recap event of the WWA The Art of War 2025. It was an event that absolutely took WWA to the new heights and limitations it never thought it ever had. Tonight, on this special recap, JR, better known as Jim Ross, tells you as the event itself unfolded bit by bit. So sit back, relax, and enjoy, and take a look at what unfolded at one of the biggest events in WWA history. Hello there everybody, I'm good old JR, better known as Jim Ross, and welcome to a special recap of the WWA Art of War. It was absolutely, and I guarantee you, it was an historic, crazy, and holy moly nut of a night, let me tell you. We were live in Zurich, Switzerland at the Swift Life Arena in front of a stacked pack of 12,000 fans, and they came to see what I felt was to be the greatest World Championship match in WWA's history in a long time, that involving Kane and Samoa Joe. And speaking of Kane, he actually went out with Paul Bearer and addressed it to the fans of the WWA of his upcoming match with Samoa Joe, and this is what was said. Well, it's finally here. Tonight, the unleashed forces of Hellfire and Brimstone have descended upon us once more. However, upon our arrival, I was informed by WWA management that a bounty has been placed upon Kane. Whoever it is, rest assured, this won't go down, for it is a grave mistake, because my son is not worth as to what the bounty says it is. And it will fail before tonight's end. Kane, however, has been patient. He has watched those who have come and gone for his World Championship. Crush, Sting, Batista, and Keith Lee. They've all fallen in defeat. But Samoa Joe, yes, he's so different, isn't he? My son has been intrigued. For you see, this isn't just any challenger stepping into the Inferno. This is a Samoan submission machine. A man who etched his name in the annals of wrestling history. A dominant force who held the Ring of Honor Championship for an astounding 645 days. A reign of absolute power. A man who electrified the TNA X division. A whirlwind of aggression and innovation that few could ever hope to contain. And let's not forget the battles waged and the championship that Joe conquered in NXT. 3 times he held their most coveted prize. 3 times he brought a level of intensity that elevated NXT's entire landscape. This is the man who Kane hopes to see when he puts his WWA title on the line tonight. Samoa Joe, my son recognizes the fire that burns within you, the unwavering will that has carried you to this very event. Kane understands the battles you have won and the scars you bear. And so, from the depths of his fiery soul, Kane wishes you, Joe, all the best. He hopes that when you stand across the ring, this encounter will become the greatest World Championship match of his dominant title reign. While Kane respects and acknowledges your formidable reputation, tonight, Joe, you've stepped onto the battlefield and will have to fight through hell, fire, and brimstone in order to become the new world champion of the World Wrestling Alliance.
After Paul Bearer gave his statement, this is what Samoa Joe said in return. And I gotta tell you folks, it was very passionate and very, very deep. But there was no denying that Samoa Joe had come for an absolute warfare with the big red machine and would do anything necessary to become the new world champion. Take a look and listen to what the Samoan submission machine had to say. For several weeks, all I've heard is the whispers and the doubt. Can Joe really stand against the big red machine? Can he dethrone the brother of the Undertaker to do what very few men can ever do? But tonight, those questions cease to matter. This isn't just another match. This isn't about adding another notch to be a champion. This is about legacy. This is about proving that the heart, the grit, and the unwavering determination that I, Samoa Joe, can overcome any obstacle and any legend. Kane, you are a dominant force. You are destruction personified. But you're also standing in the way of something bigger than us both. You've got the crowning jewel of this company, the WWA World Title. A title that I've waited 2 years to earn. And you know the weight of it. But do you know the hope it represents to all the people of the WWA? Do you understand the dreams that are tied to that championship? Because I do. I've seen it in the fans' eyes, felt it in their cheers, and has fueled me ever since and every step of the way. You want to face the Samoa Joe who held the Ring of Honor World Title for 645 days? You want the Samoa Joe who conquered the X Division in TNA in 2005? The man who made NXT red hot, who held the title 3 times? Well, tonight, I promise you that you're gonna get just that. Because when that bell rings, it won't just be Samoa Joe stepping into the ring. It'll be every single fan who have ever believed in me. Every single person that has ever dared to chase an impossible dream. This isn't just my fight, Kane. This is our fight. And believe me when I say this, we are ready. We are ready. And tonight, the WWA World Championship comes home to me. Well, that was one passionate Samoan submission machine, let me tell you folks. And during the whole event leading up to the Art of War, the Macho Man Randy Savage had been successfully defending his TV title, so far retaining 4 victories, defeating the likes of Wes Lee, Joe Coffey, and Adam Bomb, all 3 falling via pinfall. His 4th one was against Diesel, and unfortunately though, the 10-minute clock expired when Kevin Nash was just about to put the Macho Man away. Thus, Randy Savage survived the 10-minute and retained his belt for the 4th time. Now on the pre-show, prior to the Art of War going live, Savage defended his title for the 5th time against Tommy Dreamer and won via countout after nailing a piledriver to the Innovator of Violence on the floor, thus retaining the TV title 5 times out of his 7 title defenses. And then finally, to wrap it all up, Jezebel, aka Kane's half-sister as we were told in the upcoming weeks leading up. She had retained the women's title and defeating Tam Nakano with a tombstone piledriver in an amazing display of pure dominance, winning the match in only just 5 minutes. We also heard from Big Show and Omos that Big Show vowed to get revenge for Andre the Giant after what Omos did to him in the last event when the ring broke. And because of that, Andre wasn't supposed to be taking place in the Art of War Rumble, but unfortunately though, because of what Omos did, he would not be able to. Omos, on the other hand, simply said that the Big Show was just another 500-pound giant who was just a massive big stepping stone for more bigger things for him to achieve in the WWA. And I gotta tell you, those two giants absolutely clashed it on, as we will get to later, as I will tell you in this upcoming recap.
And now, our feature presentation.
And now let's get into the event itself. On the first match of the card was the number one contendership for the WWA Tag Team Titles, who would go on to face the champions at European Uprising 3. It was Brooke Jetson and Josh Briggs with Fallon and Henley in their corner, taking on the team of Mark and Joe Coffey with Wolfgang in their corner, and the match itself was pretty decent, back and forth, tag teams, anything that you can call it, but in the end, it was Brooke Jetson and Josh Briggs who got the victory for their team, and they would go on to face the WWA Tag Team Champions at European Uprising 3. Match number 2 was the match that everyone was talking about, the WWA European Championship. Tucker Knight, the champion, taking on the challenger, Bron Breaker, in a championship rematch. Unlike that first encounter, Bron Breaker was on his game, but unfortunately though, Tucker Knight managed to counterattack Bron numerous times and eventually took control of the match. But then, just as Tucker was about to put the finishing touches on Bron Breaker, the nephew of Rick Steiner barked out so loudly that he took Tucker by surprise, and with all his brute strength and dedication and determination, he was able to put Tucker Knight down for the count of 3 and became the new WWA European Champion. But now we get on to match 3 of the night. It was Sting and the Ultimate Warrior, the Blade Runners, taking on the Tag Team Champions of Kane and Blue Kane. Although it was supposed to be an ordinary tag team match, a third team has been sliced in there, thanks to the agreement of Bradley and Glenn from ECW and WWA. The team that was thrown in were accompanied by Ava Raine and the Ravishing One, Rick Rude.
Cut the damn music! This is the Ravishing One, Rick Rude. And I need to have happen right now is for all of you fat, disgusting, overweight, out of shape, no hygiene having, no smarts happening, WWA sweat hogs, to keep the noise down as I introduce to you the most dominant faction in professional wrestling today. Accompanied by their lovely cousin, Ava Raine, and myself, the Ravishing One, Rick Rude, Solo Sikoa, and the new Extreme Tribal Chief, Zilla Fatu, the Bloodline Bullet Club.
Now, it really took everyone by surprise of how this was put together, but the match spoke for itself. It was pure chaos, domination on all 3 teams. But it did look like that Kane and Blue Kane were really going to wrap this one up by burning and freezing on both teams. But, unfortunately, things didn't go as planned, because Chris Jericho, who was supposed to face Blue Kane later on, distracted the referee, and then Mortis came out of nowhere and literally knocked down Blue Kane and distracted Kane himself, thus allowing Sting and the Ultimate Warrior to take the upper hand after taking care of Solo and Zilla, and they were able to win the arena as the new WWA Tag Team Champions. Well, after that match had concluded, we then saw Shane McMahon and Glenn Barker having a good discussion about what was going on with WWA's financing and the results of what happened in the last two shows. But after that, things took a very interesting and strange turn, as you're about to find out. This is fantastic! These are even better results than what we both thought. Look at the feedback from the fans. Even the money is coming in 5 times more. And because of the success, WWA's stock rose even higher. Thanks for showing me this, Shane. I'm glad I got you as the new GM. And by the way things are shaping, we'll be having a very interesting summer 2025. Hello? Oh, Diesel, you just made it to the arena on time? Good. Okay, so you got it all on camera, right? You were there at the show when it happened? All the evidence is on tape. All that was said about my company being ran like a circus, and there's certain guys in ECW wouldn't have contracts and are being blocked? You also taped in what happened at Bear Legal. Just to be sure, and also on my behalf, inform Bradley and Kim, and I and the WWA send our full support, and hopefully this mess will be sorted. Whoa, wait. Whoa, pause that there for a second, Diesel. They're already here? The ECW guys who will be in the Art of War Rumble later tonight? Oh, that's good. But what do you mean I'm not gonna let... What? What are you talking about, Diesel? What? Okay, thanks for informing me. Just keep on tabs on anything else that might happen. Okay, Diesel? Thanks. Glenn, you stupid dumbass! Yes, come in. You wanted to see me, Glenn. Well, what's up with you, man? You look mad. This is supposed to be a big return to the WWA. Look, Hulk Hogan, it's just a brief moment I need to speak with you about. Just to make sure that there's no foul play or anything else that's going to go on in the main event, I'm putting you in the Art of War Rumble match. Consider it your return to the ring, since I've checked up on your latest rehab on your left knee. You're clear to wrestle again, so your doctor told me earlier this morning. Can you do that for me, Hogan? Hey, sure thing, brother. You can count on me. I've been aware that there's 8 guys or so coming from ECW, and one of them might be running a little bit late, or so I heard. But once he gets here to join the rest of those guys, trust me, it's not going to be good for them. Just leave that to me, for I'll deal with that, as will the rest of the WWA guys that are going to be in that match. Yeah, Diesel was actually just telling me about that, Hogan, and it just doesn't feel right at all. I'm starting to wonder whether it's true or not. Well, I gotta get myself ready anyway, but thanks for letting me in. Oh, and Glenn, just want to let you know, brother, drafting me as your number 1 in that draft pick was the best thing you ever did. Because if you didn't get me first, you probably would have either lost your World Heavyweight Champion or even the biggest name in professional wrestling. And that would have been terrible for the WWA. Don't feel guilt about it, man. No one blames you for what happened at Brother Legal, because I saw what went down. It was disgusting, brother. You're not at fault. You made the right call. Just remember that, brother. What if Hogan's right? What if I'm not at fault? Yep, Hollywood Hulk Hogan had been given full clearance to wrestle in a WWA ring and was put in the Art of War Rumble, as Glenn said, in case anything were to step out of line. But things got even more weird and more stranger as the night progressed, as you will find out. And then we go back to the match of the night, or some say was one of the best women's matches of the WWA in a long time, was Mayu Iwatami taking on Mandy Rose for the WWA Women's European Championship. It was epic, and I'll tell you something, highly, highly technical. Despite everything that Mayu did, Mandy Rose came out on top with an awesome Rose plant, a devastating one, mind you, and she retained her title. And after that, the two women shook hands out of respect. On match 5 of the night, it became a tag team double number 1 contendership for both the man and women's European titles. It was the team of Joe Hendry and Melo taking on the limitless Keith Lee and Kayden Carter. Now this match definitely played out a very intriguing angle, but in the end, Joe Hendry did everything that he could with Mayu, but unfortunately though, it was Keith Lee and Kayden who came out on top, and both will get a double number 1 contender shot for both the men's and women's European titles at European Uprising 3. Then match 6 followed along, and as I said earlier on about the titanic warfare that the Big Show and Omos had, well let me tell you, this was beyond anything but a titanic massacre. Omos absolutely showed that he was definitely up par there with the Big Show, but Big Show also showed the Nigerian giant that he was more than capable in holding his own. A couple of body slams, a few clotheslines, and even a devastating knockout blow didn't do Omos any favours. Even though Big Show was so experienced, his oversizing power was not able to phase him, and Omos somehow got the victory over the Big Show with an impressive skybosh maneuver, and he got the victory, much to the crowd absolutely in total shock, for they thought that the Big Show was going to come out on top, but it wasn't. The Nigerian giant had triumphed over another giant, and proving that he was definitely the king of all the giants of the WWA. But after he went down to the backstage, one of the reporters came up and asked Omos his opinion about it, and he said if he could beat Andre or Big Show anytime one-on-one, he was willing to do it all over again and would prove it at European Uprising 3 once and for all. And match 7 happened. It was Chris Jericho and Blue Kane, and the two men absolutely scrambled all over the building. It went on the inside, into the crowd, and then back into the ring. But unfortunately though, Blue Kane's not to be, because unfortunately, Chris Jericho had some unexpected assistance from Mortis, who costed Blue Kane the match, which allowed Jericho to hit the code breaker and a jackknife pinfall on the Big Blue Machine, securing Kane's first defeat in the WWA. And unfortunately though, the Big Blue Machine did not take this loss very kindly, and he went straight to Glenn Barker's office, and this is what happened. I don't know how, but Diesel had confirmed it to me. You're damn right, I'm totally honest about it. As for what happened in January, I'm okay. I'm fully cleared now from CM Punk's attack at the Royal Rumble. That little tattooed straight-edge maggot is going to face charges from me and a big fine before this year ends. Mark my words on that. He's giving AEW enough bullcrap as it is. And don't even get me started on the NWA's own problems either, for that bald-ass cocksucker Jon Moxley. Okay. I've got it. We'll talk more about this next time. Alright. Bye. God damn. Will I ever get a break? Huh? What the? Why has it gone so cold here all of a sudden? Huh? Oh, Jesus Christ! Blue Kane, what are you doing here? How'd you find me? Your name on your office tells you exactly where you are, Glenn. It's quite ironic that this is our first encounter, and knowing that you've been one of my biggest fans since I got a break in the NWA last year or so. Now, you saw what happened earlier tonight. It's been absolute cold bad luck for me tonight. Me and Kane had lost the tag team titles, and then all of a sudden, I lose to Chris Jericho thanks to that guy named Mortis. And you saw what he did. Now I cannot stand it any longer. I am not just requesting this, Glenn. I'm saying this to you in a somewhat demanding offer. Give me Mortis at European Uprising 3 so I can give that stupid-ass twerp exactly what he deserves. He's not going to get away after costing what would have been a glorious chilly night in hell for everyone in the WWA. So, are you going to give me Mortis or not?
Okay, Blue Kane. Jesus Christ, it's getting chilly here in my office, man. Look, if you want Mortis, by God, you're going to have him. You can have any match you want with him at European Uprising 3. He's all yours to deal with. You can send him through Antarctica and back again all night long.
Thank you, Glenn. It seems like you really are a decent man to do some business with. Until then.
Oh, for God's sake, who's ringing at me now? God. Yes, what the hell is it now? Huh? Whoa, Diesel, is that you? Hang on a second. What's happening in the parking lot? What? Who's just arrived at the arena, outside? Who are you talking about? Huh? What in the... Oh. Oh, shit. Well, you heard that right, folks. It truly was a holy you-know-what for Glenn Barker with who had turned up at the arena when Karen Nash confirmed who it was. Our cameras couldn't pick it up, for we had to cut back to the action. But what I can tell you is that me, Michael Hayes, and Don West, and everybody else in the arena were not prepared for what was going to happen later that night. Coming back to match number 7 was the steel caged extra dubbed the Rage of the Cage, as it was known as, for Brock Lesnar and Batista. This was brutal, bloody, and it got a little graphic. Batista absolutely gave Brock a pounding like no one had ever done. He was able to buddy and busted up Brock Lesnar for so long that Lesnar became half blind in the match, and he had troubles regarding his diverticulitis issues, and he also had problems with his lower back. Unfortunately, though, Batista, despite being the aggressor of the match, the Beast Incarnate somehow was able to overcome the Animal, and with an awesome F5 into the steel cage, followed up by a second one dead-centered, Brock Lesnar was able to put Batista down for the count of 3 and win the match. Although Lesnar struggled to get backstage, Batista looked like a man who had absolutely not lost his motivation for WWE, but he had felt that he had lost his pride. As to what actually is those that to be, we would have to find out in the weeks to come. Match number 8 played into what many thought was an amazing matchup. Hollywood Brooke Hogan versus Camille, and whoever won the match would go on to face the WWA's Women's Champion at European Uprising 3. Camille, as always, showed just why she is the one and only brickhouse of the women's division. She took Brooke Hogan to town, but somehow, thanks to her father's motivation, Hulk Hogan, who was at ringside to watch the match, however, Brooke Hogan was able to dig down deep and somehow, through hell high water, was able to beat Camille fair and cleanly, mind you. But unfortunately, though, her victory was cut short as Jezebel appeared on the Titantron screen, and this is what she had to say to her upcoming challenger at European Uprising 3.
You know, it's funny that every single time I step into a building, every single time I walk through the curtain, I hear all the whispers saying, Jezebel's too cold, too calculating, and got no heart. In truth, they're all right. Because heart doesn't win championships. Heart doesn't pay the bills. And it certainly isn't going to save anyone. Not even you, Brooke Hogan. For weeks now, all I've heard about is the Hogan legacy, your family name, and how you're destined for greatness. Let me tell you something, sweetheart. The only destiny you're walking into at European Uprising 3 is a rude awakening. This isn't Hollywood, Brooke. This is the WWA. This is my title. You want to talk about legacies? My legacy is forged in the pain and suffering, built on the broken dreams of women like you, who think a famous last name is a pass to the top. It's not. Not here, and not against me. At European Uprising 3, you'll step into my world of fire, where I thrive in chaos, where I dominate with flames of fury. A world where the only thing that matters is this championship that I hold. So, Miss Hollywood, bring your so-called legacy. Bring your name and whatever delusions of grandeur you've been feeding yourself. Because when the bell rings and my hand is raised, the only thing everyone will be talking about is how I cemented my reign, and how you, Brooke Hogan, are just another stepping stone on my path of destruction.
And then we move on to the match that everybody had been waiting to see. The WWA World Heavyweight Championship. Samoa Joe versus Kane, with Paul Bearer at ringside. And I gotta tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, the anticipation for this match was off the charts. Both challenger and champion got massive ovations from the crowd. They were 50-50 down the middle, but what followed on afterwards was quite interesting, and a very historic moment in time as well. Before the match happened, Samoa Joe and Kane came face to face, and the referee explained the rules of the match. But then, unexpectedly, and very interestingly, Samoa Joe and Kane shook hands, respecting the code of honor and respecting the code of the WWA Heavyweight Championship. And the fans in Switzerland knew exactly that this was going to be a very special match, but we didn't know just how special until the match got underway. There was so much drama, emotion, and the crowd was so red hot, they chanted for both superstars. And I gotta tell you, even I got lost in the moments where we thought that we were going to have a new World Heavyweight Champion. A lot of fans were actually expecting the title to change hands. But during the match, Kane eventually overpowered Samoa Joe, and eventually he started to dominate over him. But then Joe was able to retaliate back, using all of the tricks of the trade that he knew. Eventually, Kane got caught in a coquina clutch, but he was able to counter out of it 2 times. He then eventually had Joe down and he kicked out of the choke slam 2 times. Kane thought he had the match won with both of them. Then he attempted a tombstone power driver, but Joe had countered it and turned it into an island driver, almost getting the 3 count. Then an ST Joe for a near fall, the snap power slam into an armbar maneuver, but Kane managed to get to the ropes to break the count. Eventually, Joe used all the submission trades that he knew, from the powerbomb into the STF, but that didn't work. Eventually, he hit Kane with a lariat, and even that didn't get the job done. And then Kane went up to the top rope after turning the tide with a falling powerbomb, nearly getting the fall. But then he went to the top rope, and Joe caught Kane off guard, and then hit a top rope muscle buster, and that nearly sealed the deal. But Kane somehow had survived. Then Joey managed to get Kane up, and he attempted a second muscle buster, but Kane countered it, overpowered him, and hit a 3rd choke slam to turn the match back in his favor. But then Joe managed to power back out, and when he went for the tombstone again, Joe managed to lock in a coquina clutch and had it in so tight that he managed to get Kane onto the mat. But then the unthinkable happened. and it looked like Kane was about to be choked out when he suddenly sat up, still in the Coquita clutch, and managed to rise to his feet with Joe on his back before transitioning the Coquita clutch into a devastating tombstone piledriver. The match then reached its peak as Kane came off with the flying clothesline and then set up for one final chokeslam, but Joe was defiant. He paintbrushed Kane with so much shots and eventually went for one desperate lariat, but Kane saw it coming, and finally, with one last, fourth defiant chokeslam, Kane managed to get the pinfall and retain the WWA Heavyweight Championship. But then, something else also happened. Kane was about to leave the ring, but instead, he grabbed the belt and looked down at the fallen Samoa Joe, who was broken in emotion. He then stood next to him and reached his hand out and pulled Joe up back to his feet and gave him a post-match handshake, showing respect to the Samoan submission machine. But what happened next? Well, here's what happened just after the match itself.
Samoa Joe. Earlier, my father hoped that I would get to face the Samoan submission machine who conquered ROH, TNA, and NXT. Tonight, you kept your word and delivered. In return, I give you the Kane who dominated the 2001 Royal Rumble, who beat Stone Cold at the King of the Ring, and almost broke The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak at WrestleMania 14 in 1998. I don't say this often, but Joe, it was an honor to wrestle you for this championship, and we gave what these fans wanted. Until then, the WWA title, my world title, stays with me and the Kayden. Whoever wins in the main event tonight, you will face me at Uprising 3 at my very best, because even if it is a small man, even one who resembles goats who thinks that I've lost it, I am still the most dominant monster of all monsters in this pro wrestling business. As for the 30 competitors, may the winner be prepared, because at European Uprising 3, hell, fire, and brimstone awaits you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Very, very strong words coming from the Big Red Machine Kane. But the biggest question hanging over everyone's minds was who was going to win the R4 Rumble and go on to face him in the main event at European Uprising 3. While the results that we got were beyond anything we could have imagined, but what the fans got tonight was definitely something. Numbers 1, 2 were Tommy Dreamer and Sabu representing ECW, and one of the 10 guys from that roster. As the match began in its early stages, we got to see a mixture of hardcore and WWA Pro Wrestling combined. However though, as we started to reach the first entrance of number 10, Chris Jericho and Blue Kane and Mortis along with Drew Gulak and Timothy Thatcher got involved, and then things took a very intriguing twist. Eventually though, Blue Kane got his revenge on Chris Jericho and even got rid of him, followed up by Mortis. He eventually eliminated Tommy Dreamer and Sabu, eliminating just 4 men out of 30. he would actually last the longest out of everybody, almost making it to the very end, believe it or not. But then, as the big guns were coming in from entrances number 10 to number 20, things definitely got very tense. Joe Hendry and Damian Priest from ECW, Keith Lee, Martin Stone, Sami Zayn, Crush, Mark Coffey, and Adam Bomb. Even Joe Coffey himself got in the match. It was definitely getting very intense. The boys were throwing out left and right, but eventually Hollywood Hogan entered the picture and he started to make his claim to win the match. But then all of a sudden, Andrade, the ECW World Champion, got involved and he got a ton of hate from the crowd. Then Omos made another appearance and he started dominating the entirety of the match. Eventually, it took over up to 7 guys, or close to 8, if I got that right, to finally get him over the top rope and down to the floor. Eventually though, at entrance number 26, Goldberg came into the fray and he started spearing the boys left and right and even jackhammering the Ultimate Warrior. But then Brock Lesnar came in at number 27 and despite not being 100%, he was able to get rid of Tam Tonga and Tanga Lola from ECW simultaneously. Eventually though, the icon known as Sting entered at number 28 and started cleaning house. Some thought that he was going to go on to win the match, knowing that he was a heavy favourite going in. But then, just as Glenn Barker had feared, or what we thought what it was, at number 29, the undead Mark Calloway, the Vice President of ECW, made his appearance, and the boos were so loud that not even myself, Don West, or Michael Hayes could talk over each other. The heat that Mark Calloway was getting was unbelievable. There was garbage being thrown in, unbelievable slurs being thrown out that we had to unfortunately cut out and beep out for you viewers at home. But you should have been there to have seen it happen, because honestly, Mark Calloway started beating up the boys left and right, and he nearly won the whole thing. He eliminated guys like the Ultimate Warrior, Brock Lesnar, and then he even got rid of Crush, and even more guys out left and right, and he was literally kicking everybody's ass from left to right, and he even gave Martin Stone a brutal last ride. But then all of a sudden, Kevin Nash, or Big Daddy Cool Diesel, entered at number 30. He was sent in by Glenn Barker himself in order to stop Mark Calloway from doing what May thought was going to happen. He eventually did do so. But then, all of a sudden, the biggest pop of the night was when Mark Calloway got eliminated by the icon Sting. And well, Mark Calloway was very pissed off that he took it upon himself to distract Sting. He eventually got himself nearly blindsided by Kevin Nash, and he took him out of the ring and beat him up to the point where he tombstoned Sting on the floor before shoving him right back into the ring to be fed to by whoever was going to throw him over the top rope. Security eventually did come down and had to by force escort Mark Calloway out of the building. But then eventually though, in the closing moments of the Art of War, it looked like Sting and Kevin Nash were going to get rid of Hollywood Hogan. But then Goldberg started spearing them both down, and eventually though, it looked like Goldberg was going to go and win the whole thing. But he eventually got eliminated by Diesel and Hollywood Hogan, much to some of the crowd being a bit disappointed in that one. But then suddenly, Diesel blindsided both Hogan and Sting, and he picked up the icon, and just when it looked like he was going to slam him over the top rope, Sting low-bridged and used Diesel's own momentum to flip him over and hit the floor. It then came down to the final two, Sting and Hollywood Hogan. Some thought it was Starrcade 1997 all over again, but in the final 5 minutes of the match, Hogan and Sting put on a classic, stunning event, and the emotions from the fans was incredible. But after missing a brutal Stinging splash, Hollywood Hogan capitalized and clotheslined Sting out of the ring and won the 2025 Art of War Rumble. The fans at first gave a massive pop of mixed reactions, but they soon turned on Hogan after what the Hollywood Hulkster had to say. That's right, dudes. I've done it, I tell ya. Once again, all who doubted my return to the ring was going to be a total failure, they've been proven wrong. For all of my Hollywood maniacs here tonight, and to all of Hollywood Mania, everybody around the world of the WWA, you're witnessing history tonight, dudes. Because Hollywood Hulk Hogan, the man who helped build this empire, just won the 2025 Out of War Royal Rumble. And I did it for all of you, and for all the people who still believe in me. And for all who know that Hollywood is the only true source of power. But most important of all, I won this and dedicated this victory to the WWA's chairman himself, you Glenn Barker, my man. This one is especially dedicated to you, brother. But now I've heard all the whispers and the rambling, hearing about that they're talking about. That's right, the Big Red Machine, or should I say, the devil's favorite SOB, Kane. Everyone says he's unbeatable, he's a monster, and that not even nobody like Hollywood Hogan can beat him in taking in what's rightfully his, the WWA World Championship, brother. Well, let me tell you something, Kane. You may be big, strong, and really scary, but you ain't seen nothing yet, man. Come next event, at Europe Rising 3, you're gonna be facing a real monster, and that's the Hulkster of Hollywood. But I'm not waiting for Europe Rising 3. Oh, no, man. I've got a plan, and it's a plan that's gonna make you sweat, bleed, and make you wish that you never stepped foot in the same arena as me, man. So this is how it's gonna go, brother. So listen up to all of you WWA superstars, all of you in the locker room wannabes. You've all heard about this $100,000 bounty going around that's been put on the Big Red Machine's head. Everyone's been wondering who's been putting it up. Well, who knows more about putting bounties on anybody than me, brother? That's right, I'm offering $100,000 to anyone who can weaken the Big Red Machine before our inevitable meeting at Europe Rising 3. All I want you to do is simple. It's to soften up Kane, to wear him down and make him vulnerable. So vulnerable that by the time he finally does step into the ring with me, he'll know that he's not just facing the immortal one, the king of Hollywood, the biggest star in professional wrestling, but the future of the WWA. So come on, guys, let's see who's got the guts, who's got the ambition, and who's got the driving motivation for $100,000 that I offer. Because when I step into that ring at Europe Rising 3 at the next WWA event, the biggest event of the entire WWA organization, I'm not just gonna win that World Heavyweight Championship and hold a title for the first time in 23 years, brother. I'm gonna prove once and for all that Hulk Hogan, or Hollywood Hogan, the power of Hollywood Mania rules for life. And Kane, brother, I've only got one more thing to ask to you. What you gonna do when the Hulkster stomps out your inferno, crushes all your Kadenites, and takes your world title and runs wild on you?
Well, I couldn't believe that, and neither could Michael Hayes or Don West for that matter, or even the crowd, or even you guys at home watching that. Hulk Hogan admitting that he put the $100,000 bounty on Kane in order for him to be taken out before the matching up at Europe Uprising 3? I don't know what was going on in Hogan's head, but he absolutely pulled it off. And, well, love him or hate him, folks, he's going to be getting that World Heavyweight Championship shot, and just like he said, it'll be the first time in 23 years since he held a heavyweight title. Well, though, the road to Europe Uprising 3 is going to be something. Because I'll tell you this, it'll be the biggest show of the WWA.
and what a way for it to happen. You know, I'm really quite looking forward to the whole event itself, seeing Kane and Hogan clash for the heavyweight championship. But my Oklahoma mind of experience tells me that Hogan's up to something, and I'm damn no it doesn't style very well either. Well, before we go, I had an update and telling you guys that WWA Europe Uprising 3 will be taking place on 2 separate occasions. However though, Kane vs Hogan will happen on night 2, but unfortunately though during night 1, Kane will be going up against whoever it is who is determined to get that $100,000 bounty on him before the night's end. Hogan even threw some stipulations in. If somebody does take him out prior to their match at night 2, then either Hogan will even have the championship handed to him, or if Kane manages to win, they can still go ahead as planned. But I do smell some Hulk Hogan bullshittery going on here, and I can only imagine just how much of a bad situation Glenn would be in right now when he found out about it. But rumour has it that he will see it through, and he wants to give the WWE fans what they've wanted. Kane, however, on the other hand, is too focused on wanting to destroy Hollywood Mania, and has guaranteed that he will destroy not just the legend of Hulk Hogan, but to destroy the darkness that burns within the Hollywood Hulkster. Well, that just about wraps it up for this special recapping of the WWA Art of War 2025. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I'm good old JR, and I'll see you next time.